Hi, I'm Richard White from Man Machine, and today we're going to have a look at a little known tool within Revit, which is basically looking at solar studies. It's something that is not often or regularly used, but actually you can produce some nice quick solar renditions looking at sun paths and shadow paths on your models without doing too much fiddling around. Now, assuming that your model is placed in real world locations, then you should be able to set this up so that you're getting a reasonably accurate setup for different times of the year or different times of the day, depending on where you're wanting to look at this particular model output. So I've got my one of my building models here that we use for various sort of demonstrations and training setups. And we're going to have a look at how to access this solar study tool. So down at the bottom here, there are lots of little tiny icons that some of the those who use Revit will understand and use things like the temporary hide and isolate tools and the little reveal hidden elements light bulb tool. But over on this left hand side, next to where we've got our detail levels and our different visual styles, we have a sun path tool and a shadow path tool. To be able to access this, we're going to turn both of these on. So I'm just going to turn on my shadows. As soon as we've got our shadows on, we can see that we've got a shadow representation of a sort of nominal location where that sun's going to be. And then we can turn our sun path on as well, and what we'll get is almost like a compass that sits around our model. We'll also see the position of the sun in relation to where this shadow is actually moving from. And this is currently set up on a single still image basis. Which is really quite handy, but if you're wanting just to sort of manually change the time of day through this sun path tool. Now, there's a number of ways we can do that. We can access those sun settings through the sun setting button here, or we can just manually drag and drop this sun into a different location should we want to show where that sun's actually sitting. What we'll see over on the compass point is a date marker. So this is currently set to today. And it's saying that for this particular location, this is roughly where the sun will be on this day, and likewise it's got a timer up the top to say at 3:30 on this day, this is roughly where your sun's going to be. We can modify those by just changing the time of day or the day of the year, just by selecting them and readjusting those calendars, or we can just pull this sun around to different points in the day. And the timer above will change, or different points in the year by following this little path down the side as well. So we can pull this down and change that sun path, and when we drop that into place, our sun and shadow paths will change. So our shadow's now at the back of the building because the sun's right above the building itself. So that is like a single image shot. But what we can do further to this is do some sun studies. So by going into our sun study tool and looking at our sun settings, we can now change this to either a multi-day or a single day use. I'm going to look at a single day mapping of where the sun's going to go. So I'm going to look at this single day. I'm going to change this for sunrise to sunset. And what we can then start doing is fiddling around with some of the settings in the background. So we do have the option of picking a real world location for this sun. So if you're doing a project somewhere in the UK, most of the time it will be overcast and quite grey, so we might not have quite so much sun. But obviously, if you're somewhere else in the world, then sun paths might be quite important. So we can pick a particular location that we want to map where this particular building is. It just happens to be that we've just set this one up in London. We can also set what time of the year this is going to be set from, and how where the typical sunrise and sunset will be set from. If we've got this ticked, then we can't fiddle around with these. But if we've got it unticked, then we can change when this path is going to be running to. So I'm just going to run this from sunrise to sunset and go OK. And what this will then do is it will change my sun path mapping to illustrate this sort of the full path of where this sun's going to go and where the shadows are running from the early morning sunrise all the way through to sunset, from east to west. So what we can then do is down at the bottom of these tools, we can go to our solar study tool. We can modify a lot of those settings that we looked at within the preset dialog box. We now actually have some tools that sit up in the ribbon. So we can do almost like changes on the fly. We can have a look at the speed of the sun path. We can look at the different intensities of that sun to show where the shadow's actually falling. And then we can actually also play this preview. So when we play the preview, what you'll see is it will run through a number of different cycles during the day. So you can see actually during that full day path where that shadow is actually going to sit within your site. So you can then have it might be a planning condition that shadows might not be able to pass through certain areas of the site for particular reasons. I know I did have a project where there was an allotment next to the site that was going to be impacted by this high-rise building, and residents got a little bit upset. So, and we had to actually have a look at that to make sure that it was minimal impact at different points in the day when they were going to get the most sun, basically. So what we can do is obviously we can do that over a single day, we can do that over multiple days, and then you can actually export this as a video file. So under your file settings, we have an export option, which you'll just have to use this little arrow button down the bottom. We can go to images and animations, and we can go to this solar study tool. This will then take us to a video export tool or a video export dialog box, where we can say how long we want our video to be, what the frame ranges are, how quickly this is going to run, and then we can push that out directly to an MP4 file. So that can be used as a backup or an additional information for your planning application or something like that. So can be really useful for making decisions for planning and construction for your projects. So what we end up getting is, once we've exported that, and a little bit of a Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier. I'm just going to open up my AVI file, which is just here. And I've just pulled this out as a short one-day sun study. This pushes this straight out as an uncompressed MP4 file, and we can play that, and it will show the direction of that path. Now, obviously, if you've added or embellished your model with surrounding buildings and site context and that kind of thing, then obviously this will give you a much better idea of how that sun is going to impact on your project moving forward. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea of how to maybe utilize some of these sun study tools on your projects. And hopefully, if you want any further advice on any of this moving forward, then hopefully we can help you in the future. Thanks. Bye.